Good afternoon, Bhargav and Bassel. Today is Thursday, the 14th of December, and here's the heads up brief for today. Our production to our clients consisted of a total of 95 issues, and I will be briefing you on the major issues of today's production.
Hey, Mithma, thank you. Can we move on to the major issues today?
Of course. In the East Asia Pacific, we covered a total of 52 issues. I'm covering the top 3 of the 52 issues today. In Indonesia, there are demonstrations in West Java today and tomorrow. Around 10,000 workers have planned to demonstrate at Gedang Sate and the West Java Provincial Manpower and Transmigration Service Office in the West Bandung Regency in West Java. The protesters are demanding that the acting governor of West Java, Bay Triadi Mahmudin, revise the decree that determines the West Java city and district minimum wage for the year 2024. The workers are also calling for the minimum wage to be set according to recommendations from local governments. The demonstration is expected to involve motorbike rallies as well as a long march with workers joining crowds in front of Gedang Sate. We covered this as the major development in the Southeast Asia roundup today.
Thank you. Please monitor the labor-related issues in Indonesia. They can be a major disrupting factor for businesses across the country. Thank you.
Sure, Bhargav. And in the Philippines, more than 4,400 police personnel will be deployed in Metro Manila. This is during the transport strike that is scheduled for today and tomorrow. Authorities will also deploy 152 patrol vehicles and 147 other vehicles to help transport commuters who may be affected by the strike. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority will also activate their multi-agency command center to ensure that public transportation will remain available for commuters.
All right. Thank you.
Moving on to South Asia, we covered a total of 23 issues, and I will be covering the top 3 of the 23 issues today. In India, a member of the armed unit of the Chhattisgarh police force was killed and another was injured by an improvised explosive device in the Narayanpur area of Bastar in Chhattisgarh yesterday. According to preliminary reports, a group of Maoist insurgents triggered the IED and opened fire on security personnel conducting a search operation near the Amdai Valley iron ore mines. The insurgents managed to evade capture and fled the area following this attack, and an operation has been launched to find these perpetrators. 10 Maoist-related attacks have been recorded in the Basta area in November during the state legislative assembly polls. 2 insurgents were killed and 6 security personnel were injured during these attacks. We covered this as the major development in South Asia today.
Yes, the left-wing violence led by the Maoist gangs in Chhattisgarh continues to be a trouble for the state administration as well as the central troops, paramilitary troops deployed in the region. Bastar area especially is very tense, and it becomes worse during the election season. That's when the authorities have to focus on security of the election booths or the polling booths, and that gives an opportunity for the Maoists to conduct multiple attacks. The armed forces are more exposed in this period. The left-wing violence is primarily centered around Chhattisgarh, and there are some other parts of states such as Gachiroli in eastern Maharashtra, tribal tracts of Orissa. They also continue to experience an increase in violence during the election season. Mithma, please advise the team to monitor how the left-wing violence is spreading in central India and advise our clients accordingly.
Sure, Bhargav, we'll keep an eye out for that. Also in India, 5 people were arrested by the New Delhi police yesterday. This was for disrupting the winter session of the parliament at the lower house chamber yesterday. 2 individuals had breached security measures and sprayed colored gas within the lower house chamber, and 2 others opened color gas cans outside the parliament building. Local authorities have noted that the accused have not been affiliated with any organization. These 4 individuals involved in the breaching of the building have been charged under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act.
Yes, this is a reflection of the level of security in Delhi, although they claim to be quite tight, but at times they do fail in preventing such lone wolf protest activities, and this time it was quite chaotic. These seem to be shenanigans of some of the disgruntled youth, hit hard by the unemployment in some of the northern states. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhargav. So, moving on to Pakistan, the Supreme Court has tentatively approved the military court trials of over 100 supporters of former Prime Minister Imran Khan yesterday. They are accused of attacking army installations. A six-member panel overturned a previous ruling that declared military trials of civilians as unconstitutional. This allowed trial proceedings to continue. However, the panel barred military courts from issuing convictions pending a final verdict of the constitutional question of whether civilians in such cases are eligible for military trials.
Yes, this is a very controversial issue in Pakistan. The military courts and the military authority has time and again overlapped on the civil courts, and the judiciary has pushed back against the military courts, but at times they buckle down under the pressure. And this time it is a highly sensitive issue of attacks on some of the major establishment in Lahore, military establishments in Lahore and other cities. So it is likely that the military courts will prevail in this matter, but we'll monitor the situation. This can potentially trigger another wave of protests, but unlikely to gain the same momentum it gained earlier this year.
Of course, Bhargav will continue to monitor this event for our clients. Now, moving on to the EMEA region, we covered a total of 16 issues today. I will be covering the top three developments that we covered. In Germany, the ruling coalition parties reached an agreement on the 2024 state budget yesterday. This comes after several weeks of negotiations between the ruling parties. Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that the coalition has agreed on cuts and savings to fix a 18.3 billion US dollar gap in the spending plan. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
Yes, thank you, Mithma. That's interesting. It's been weeks since the ruling coalition parties have been conducting negotiations to get themselves out of this mess, which is the 18.3 billion gap, after a Supreme Court order issued an order that they cannot use the funds that were initially put in a COVID fund. So that's interesting to see that. We've seen that Chancellor Olaf Scholz have faced multiple challenges since he came into power. He's had to deal with a cost of living crisis, an energy price crisis, as well as the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So it's interesting to see how this will develop until the next general elections.
Yes, of course. Thank you for those insights, Bassel. And now moving on to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, a declassified US intelligence report has revealed that 315,000 Russian soldiers have died or have been injured since February 2022. According to this report, Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine with 360,000 personnel. This means that almost 87% of the total personnel were either killed or injured. The report also mentioned that Moscow's losses in personnel and armed vehicles in the war have set back its military modernization by nearly 18 years. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
Yes, Mithma, it's clear that Russia has lost a lot of troops and equipment since the start of the Ukrainian war in February of 2022. However, this US intelligence report is a bit biased, like previous reports, only focusing on Russian losses and not focusing on Ukrainian losses. A lot of Western government critics like Scott Ritter and Colonel Douglas McGregor have said that the Ukraine losses have reached around 400,000 troops killed and injured as a result of the war. So in this issue, we can see the bias towards only focusing on Russian losses and neglecting how much Ukraine lost in this war.
That is indeed a great point there, Bassel. Now, moving on to the conflict in Israel and Palestine, at least 18,608 Palestinians and 1,200 Israelis have died. 9 Israeli soldiers were killed in clashes with Hamas in the enclave yesterday. The Israel Defense Forces has also scaled up its raids across the West Bank. Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen has said that the war will continue with or without international support. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the IDF's offensive will continue and that he will not give in to international pressure to stop the war. We covered this as the major development in our EMEA roundup today, and we also conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message.
Yes, thank you, Mithma. Please advise the team to monitor this closely. There is a potential and a possibility that a new humanitarian pause or ceasefire will come into place if both sides agree to exchange prisoners. So we'll have to monitor this closely and update our clients accordingly. Thank you.
Sure, Bassel. Thank you so much for joining us today, Bhargav and Bassel. I think we can wrap up.
Nothing further from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithma.
Thank you.